Hey everybody, welcome to Planet Holistic. This is Todd Schaefer, and with me as always is
Kira Schaefer.
All right, and today we have a very special guest with us on the show. We have one of our authors from several of our books at As You Wish Publishing. Her name is Dina Gilmore, and she's going to be talking to us today about spiritual expansion through her experiences being a shaman through shamanism. So Dina, I want to welcome you to the show, and thanks for being here.
Thanks guys for having me. It's so lovely to be here, and I love connecting with you guys on many levels. So it's an honor to be on your podcast.
Awesome. Before we dive in, do you want to tell us just real quick, like what has your general experience been working with As You Wish Publishing, being an author of several of our books?
One of the best decisions I ever made for myself in my life. It's been phenomenal, fun, engaging, empowering, inspirational. I mean, I could go on and on and on because I've wanted to publish books for a very long time, but you guys are just like the dynamic team I must have been waiting for, because it's been a real dream come true, and I couldn't imagine going with any of the other companies I had looked into before deciding on you guys.
Wow. That's probably the best compliment we could ever get.
Thank you. That's awesome.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Anybody out there listening, choose As You Wish Publishing, and you can thank me later.
Oh, thank you, Dina. Let's dive in a little bit to shamanism and the way of how shamanism, or how that connection helps to expand people spiritually. I'm just going to let you kind of have the floor here, because I have a feeling that you can go, and I want to give you that expansion, that room, to be able to do that.
Yeah, for me, it just all started. I went to a book group, and I knew nothing about shamanism. I didn't even know the name of the book. A friend of mine just told me it would probably be comparable to like Native American healing. Well, of course, I was sold because I have Cherokee heritage, and I believe my other it's very tiny, but I think it's Creek or Comanche. And anyway, it was an access point for me to check it out. And from day one, from this book group, the book was called Soul Retrieval by Sandra Ingerman, and it opened a whole new world for me. Like, I'm a child abuse survivor. I've gone through domestic violence, and shamanism is literally hands down the one thing that always helps me come back to center. It helps me on my journey not only be a better healer, because I've done healing for 20 years, but it helps me work with clients in, like, you know, finding out if you're stuck, or what is the story that's underlying that's keeping you blocked from getting to where you want to go, kind of thing.
Right.
So it turned in from, I'm just going to a book group with a friend of mine, to, oh my gosh, I want to learn more. So I started studying just the basic classes. And some of those were really fun. And sometimes it's arts and crafts, like making your own medicine bundle or medicine shield, things like that too. I'm like, oh my gosh, who was your teacher? I want to go further. I want more. And so after about 5 years of studying from basics to advanced, I became a shamanic practitioner in 2009, and haven't turned back, because it's literally what helps me stay so grounded and so in touch with my goals and helping other people. Because where I come from, anything I work on, it has to come from a place of inspiration and empowerment, or I really don't want to do it.
Right.
And it is really about connecting to the other person on the other side of you, or out on the other side listening to these podcasts or videos, whatever it may be. So it's really about reaching them in a new way, or multiple ways that works best for them. And then they get choice to choose to work with you, or choose to reach out with you, or however it may be. So for me, it's like a way of living. So it's not a religion by any means, but it's a beautiful spiritual practice that helps me stay grounded and on par for my hopes, dreams, and goals.
Nice. So when somebody comes to you for a session, let's say, or they're maybe utilizing your mobile shaman service, and there's like a group setting, what are some of the questions that you ask your clients to get clear on what it is that they're needing?
I usually start with one of the first, there's three major questions I ask. And one of the first questions are, what would you like to work on? Like if you could narrow three things in your life, what are the top three things you would like to work on? So some say money, some say relationships, some say career, friendships, partnerships, whatever it may be. And then behind that, I'm like, well, then what is it in your life that's not working about what you're doing now? Meaning, where can we improve? Where can we go up? What is your background? What's your history? And then from there, it gets them to open up a little bit, gets them more relaxed, gets them a little vulnerable because they have to unfold and they have to share, and because that's where the transformation is. And then I have to find out, the third major question is, what stories do you tell yourself? Example being an abused child. My story was always, I'm not worthy or I'm not good enough. And so that was running the show in the background of everything I did in my life until I uncovered it. And then when you uncover it, it's like an awakening. You're like, oh, it's like a light bulb moment to yourself that you can be like, oh, okay. Well, then you just got to get them to see the light of what is the truth, because that's not true.
Right.
It may feel true from your programming and your past, but ultimately, is it true? And if you ever have doubt, reach out to the people that love you or that are around you and ask them. Yeah. We are our own worst critics. So we either have a choice that we can be our worst enemy or our best cheerleader. For me, that's not a hard choice anymore. But at one point in my time in life, it was. Yeah. So those are the three major questions that get people to open up and take a look at. Oh, what's not working? Oh, well, what if I had three major things? What do I want to go to work on first? And a lot of times they overlap one another. But you kind of narrow the focus, because you can do this work for, the rest of your life, wherever you feel like you're blocked or disconnected or just not spiritually where you want to be, because spirituality is a personal journey. So I've worked with agnostics, I've worked with atheists, I've worked with Catholics, Jewish people, Buddhists, you name it. And because it's not a religion, and whatever your religion is perfect. Keep that. That's your foundation. But with shamanism, it helps expand upon whatever your foundation is.
That's really beautiful, because it really doesn't tell them what to believe, but helps them to grow within their chosen beliefs, essentially.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, exactly right.
Removing limits.
Because they can believe whatever they believe. That's the beauty of being a human being, but there are some deep programming that we get from family or friends or school or how our community, the way we grew up, that a lot of times it keeps you from taking action in your life, or reacting and take an action that would not benefit you the most. So like if you've got three choices and you choose A because it seems like the easy route, it may not be the easy route. It may be your comfort zone. So I highly encourage, when I work with people, to get out of their comfort zone and try something new, because a new action creates new energy, creates new space for something new to come in.
And what are some of the transformations you've experienced for yourself or other people you've worked with? What have they experienced as a result of expanding spiritually via shamanism and what have you?
I used it for myself when I went through domestic violence, because I'm human too. And I went through a horrible relationship in January of 2017. It started in like November the previous year. It was very short-lived, but very dark and dramatic. And it could have taken me totally out of the game of life. But I reached in deep, and I used my shamanic resources. I used my healer friends. I actually had to be vulnerable and ask, I need some help. I can't get through this on my own. And that's an exception to the rule, because a lot of people who go through domestic violence don't have the confidence to reach out and say, I need help, or I could use your support, or I could use your love, or those kind of things. So, but when I work with clients, when I openly share about it myself, and the fact that, even though I do shamanic work, I'm human too, and I've gone through it, it seems to really bring their guard down, where they feel comfortable and they're like, oh, wow, yeah, well, she went through it, well, how do I get to the other side? And it's just literally being seen, being heard, and felt listened to.
Mm-hmm.
And letting them feel that love and that compassion that comes from another human being of, I'm so sorry you went through that. Now let's get you on the right track to turn your life around from what happened, instead of making a big dramatic story about it. Yeah, it sucks, and I would never wish it upon anyone. However, my job as a practitioner would be to help you turn it around so that you don't go backwards instead of forwards. Now, sometimes there's 2 steps backwards. It happens. I had those myself. Mm-hmm. But we need to get you stepping forward so that, 1, you don't repeat that pattern. 2, we get down to the root source of how you even got in that situation. And for me, at that moment in my life, I was repeating an abusive pattern because my dad was my abuser and he was dying. And so I was back in a situation that was repeating that old pattern, but I got my self-worth out of it.
Do you find that like healers, holistic practitioners tend to be in a better position to be of service if they have gone through some type of transformation themselves, like you have?
I think it definitely makes us more compassionate and understanding to where we actually get it. Because when I worked with someone before, other healers, like counselors or therapists, things like that, that they had never gone through child abuse or they'd never gone through domestic violence, it did feel like they didn't quite get me on that level because they hadn't gone through it. However, they were still compassionate, but I do think it brings an area to the healing that's possible because I went through it. So it's like when people say, been there, done that kind of thing. Yeah, it's not something I'm proud to say that. However, the more I share, the more that there's opportunity for transformation and to make an impact on someone else.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, if you've really walked the path, then because you've lived it and went through those challenges, then it seems like you'd be able to relate better to the people who you're trying to help later who are having those same challenges.
Yeah, it's kind of a blessing and a curse all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Of, looking back on those days, I can get back into the energy of what it felt like and what it was like and all those things. Or I can remember that and go, that was the most valuable lesson of my life where I got my worth that day. Those kind of things. Right. So it's a matter of helping people no longer fixating on what happened and moving them out of the story of everything that was revolving around it or circumstances into, yeah, that really happened and that sucks and I don't ever want to repeat that again. So I'm going to take these actions or these steps to make sure when someone is telling me about themselves, I'm going to listen and I'm going to be on my toes as far as like, if I catch a red flag or I hear something, I'm going to be more mindful. And that's when you can start asking questions before you get into a relationship with someone. Now, granted, it doesn't always work that way, but people usually tell you who they are within the first 2 times that you meet them.
That's the truth. So speaking of meeting, Dina, everyone has now met Dina Gilmore, the magnificent, wonderful Dina Gilmore.
Thank you very much.
And how can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you for a shamanic healing?
I do a lot of distance work, so it's really easy to do this kind of work because energy flows where the energy goes kind of thing. So I've done like distance Reiki or, clearings, energy clearings are easy, those kind of things that help blockages. But people can find me. I'm on Facebook under Mobile Shaman, or I have a Wix website that is also Mobile Shaman. It's She Who Heals Plenty, and I believe it's either / / I get those confused. Mobile Shaman.
It's /.
Oh, forward.
Okay.
So it's I think it's shewhohealsplenty.wixsite.com/mobile shaman.
There we go. Thank you.
That's what it is.
Yeah, I didn't have it pulled up because it's a long one.
It is a long one. And Wix is spelled Wix. So yes. Thank you so much, Dina. Thank you for being a part of our program today. Would you be willing to come back and speak with us again?
Oh, anytime, anything for you guys, because you guys make dreams come true and you're just a joy and a pleasure to interact with. So absolutely.
Oh, thank you, honey. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us here at Planet Holistic, and we will be talking to you again next time.